Have you thought about becoming financially free through real estate investing, but don't have the time or knowledge to get started? Welcome to the Real Estate Cowboys podcast. Each week, we discuss passive income investment opportunities in the red-hot Texas market. John Larson and the Real Estate Cowboys will show you how to leverage their team to build wealth in real estate through passive investment opportunities. And now, here's John.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Real Estate Cowboys. This is your host, John Larson. This week, we're going to be talking about turnkey providers, how to find a good turnkey provider. So turnkey providers are great if you are an investor that you just don't have the time or don't have the knowledge or don't live in the market that you want to invest in. A turnkey provider, a good turnkey provider, is a great way to leverage someone else's systems, someone else's knowledge, someone else's process to get you involved in building wealth through real estate and building a rental portfolio. I myself am the owner of a turnkey company called American Real Estate Investments. I'm sure most of you who are listening know that. But, the thing about being a turnkey provider and looking for a turnkey provider, it seems like they're a dime a dozen. It seems like there's a group of turnkey providers, multiple turnkey providers in almost every major market across the U.S. So how do you know you're working with the right group? That's what we're going to talk about today. It's very, very tough to find a group that you can actually really trust and rely on. Like I said, to become a quote unquote turnkey provider, really all you got to do is have some working capital, some relationships with some lenders who can help you acquire properties in your own backyard. And, you do a renovation to the home, and many turnkey providers will just hand the property off once it's rent ready to a third-party management company to do the management, pretty much wipe their hands clean of the situation. And just then at that point, it's up to the management company to ensure that the investment performs for the investor. I myself have a different philosophy about that, and many other large turnkey providers across the country also have a different view on that. And they pretty much cover everything from beginning to end. So they do acquire the property, they do the renovation, but then they also have an in-house management solution and a customer support team, so they can continuously watch that investment for their investors and make sure that everything's performing top notch. And I believe that is what you really need to look for, number one, in a good turnkey provider, and someone that you can trust and make sure that, this out-of-state portfolio that you're building is going to run smoothly. And so, reason I wanted to talk about this subject, I was in Detroit a couple weeks ago with Real Wealth Network, and we held a mastermind group where all of their turnkey providers that they work with, that Real Wealth Network works with, we were all in Detroit for an event, and started off that weekend with a mastermind. And so there were turnkey providers from Houston and Jacksonville and Cleveland and Cincinnati and I believe Pittsburgh. So there's a lot of different turnkey providers from all over the country. So it was good to kind of hear what they're doing, and then also give some information on what we do at American Real Estate Investments. And I found that there was definitely some differences in our companies. I definitely think that everybody that was there was a credible person and owns a credible company and is trying to do the right thing for the investor. So can't say anything about that. What I will say is that there were some differences in the way that we run our businesses. And not to say that one is right or one is wrong, but there was definitely some differences. And so, I decided to do this show and just kind of talk to my audience about what you should look for in a good turnkey provider. And I think the number one thing is, identifying a market that you want to invest in, and then searching out a turnkey provider from there. I don't know if it's really smart to just pick a turnkey provider and say, I want to work with this turnkey provider no matter what market they're in. I think number one, you need to do a little analysis yourself on what market is going to be best for your goals and what you're looking to get out of an investment. And so I wouldn't go to a turnkey provider just because they have a good reputation in the business and just follow them into the market that they tell you to invest in. I think that you should do your own due diligence and even fly out to some of these markets, maybe meet the turnkey provider in person. I think that that's very beneficial. But I definitely recommend, doing your own due diligence and doing your own research on all these markets and discovering what you want to do. What do you want to get out of this investment? And so people who follow me and my company and follow the Real Estate Cowboys, you know that I mainly focus on A-class properties. I mainly focus on A-class growing markets because I believe that's where I can set my investors up for the most success, and really mitigate the common risks that are involved with real estate investing and real estate investing passively and leveraging a turnkey provider to put together the investment for you and manage it for you. And so I guess as an investor from California or New York or New Jersey or Phoenix, Denver, Atlanta, many of these other markets that are experiencing rapid growth to where it's becoming very tough to get your hands on good investment opportunities in your own backyard because prices are inflating due to a demand for property and a low supply. You're also seeing interest rates that are creeping up, which is compressing the cap rates that we're accustomed to over the past, 5 to 10 years coming out of the recession. Those cap rates just aren't there anymore. But you as the investor, you need to kind of focus on what am I looking for out of this investment? Do I want something that's very safe and stable and very headache free? Well, if that's what you're looking for, I recommend, like I said, and I've talked about on other episodes, making sure that you're focusing on A-class markets, growing markets, markets that are experiencing a high amount of population growth. And then also making sure that you're buying very close to whatever the median value is in that market. Because as I've said before, if you deviate too far below that median value, you're going to get yourself into trouble. That's where the risks start to greatly increase. And I really don't care how great the management company says they are. The fact of the matter is, when you buy in more distressed neighborhoods and you're dealing with lower income earning tenants and things like that, you're definitely going to be focused in an area that has very high crime, and the chances for things to go wrong, or thefts or vandalism or break-ins or evictions, definitely goes up. So if you are the investor that's looking for maybe riding the appreciation wave that some of the markets that we have in America are experiencing, then I definitely would focus on an A-class growing market, an area that's receiving a lot of population growth. If you're just really more concerned with cash flow, supplementing income, maybe you don't have as much working capital to work with, well, then maybe you'd want to focus on some areas in the Midwest or in Memphis or, Arkansas, some of these areas that have very low price properties. I myself even invest in St. Louis and Kansas City and have invested in Detroit before. I haven't been actively buying properties in Detroit of late, but still have properties in St. Louis and Kansas City in my portfolio and still are looking to acquire more. Those markets are ones where you can get properties below 200K. But on the flip side, if you're looking in a Dallas or Houston market, if you want to be in an A-class property in an A-class neighborhood, you're going to be more so above the 200K price point. So I think it's also, you have to decide as an investor, how much capital am I looking to invest, but also be very cautious about what you invest in, because just because a spreadsheet, an Excel document tells you that you're going to get this high rate of return and it's very low money out of pocket, it does not mean that those numbers are actual. All the stars really need to align for you to see those returns. And so on a macro level, you definitely want to look at the market. Is this market receiving new people year over year, or are people moving out year over year? What are the economic drivers in these markets? How diverse is the economy? Does the economy really just kind of hinge on one type of industry? Like Detroit, for example, is very reliant on the automotive industry, and the Midwest in itself is very reliant on manufacturing. So when we're not building stuff or we're in a down economic time, it seems like the Midwest tends to be the first that really gets depressed. So you definitely got to look at that. And then on a micro level, I definitely recommend, if you have the time, to go out and visit these markets and meet the turnkey provider that you're thinking about working with in person, tour the properties, actually get in to the neighborhoods, drive down the streets, get into some of the homes. And I think if you're an educated investor or even a new investor, you should be able to get a good feeling about the area and the market and the neighborhood just by visiting it, and also by the provider and the type of renovation quality that they're putting into the investment. So I think that that's very, very important. I think when you're looking for a turnkey provider, you also want to look at the price points, right? Like we just mentioned. I don't want to be a slumlord. I started in this business, as I said, producing C and D class assets coming out of the recession, buying properties in and around the city of Detroit for a very, very low price, and just ran into a lot of issues with that. But at the time, I didn't have a lot of money to work with, and I think that's why you see a lot of turnkey providers in the country focusing on more of like a C asset. It's just because, mainly, I mean, yes, the numbers look good on paper. It might be easier for them to sell the properties because the numbers look so good on paper and because it's a lower acquisition price for the investor. So not every investor has 40, 50, 60K or more to put down on a property to invest in a property, or they're trying to spread that $60,000 that they may have over multiple properties. And I wouldn't say it's a bad strategy, but they just also need to understand the type of risk that they're going into. Risk for evictions and risk for turnover and risk for damage to the home and risk for crime in the neighborhood and break-ins and theft, it's going to go up. And so you just need to understand that those risks are going to be there. And it doesn't matter how good the property manager is, like I said, you're going to run into some issues. It just is, it's bound to happen. And so, I myself, at the position that I'm in my life, and the company that I run, capital is really not an issue. I will say that debt service is one of my biggest expenses at my company because I purchase higher priced assets, even on the acquisition side. And so my money out of pocket is higher and my holding costs are higher because I'm buying more expensive homes. But I do that because I'm really trying to set my investors up for success. And I've found in my career that, the best way to really set my investor up for success is to really focus on those true middle class neighborhoods and not deviate too far below the median value in the markets that I'm investing in. And so definitely price points is something you want to look at. And from there, you want to look at the renovation quality. And I think photos are great. Don't get me wrong, but there's photographers out there that are really, really skilled at what they do, and they can really doctor up the photos to make these renovations look a lot better than they actually do in person. And so I really recommend going out and visiting your turnkey provider that you're thinking about working with, just so you can actually see their renovation quality firsthand. I think it's very important to get into a property that they just acquired, then get into a property that is under rehab currently, and then getting into a property that's completely finished, ready to go to the property manager. I think it's very important to meet the property management team as well. And we talked about what to look for in a good property manager's couple weeks ago. So if you want to listen to that episode again and just put together a list of questions and keep your eye out for things to look for on the property management side, that will save you a lot of heartache in the future. I've said this time and time again that we could produce the best property possible. We could have the best management solution possible. But if the wrong team is looking after your asset, outside of your own backyard, things can definitely go wrong. And I experienced that, as I've said before, in my St. Louis market, trusting a large national company to manage my assets and my customers' assets. And things didn't work out so well. And we kind of had to use them as a buffer to get my brokerage set up in Missouri so we could actually manage all of our properties in Missouri too. Now we manage all of our homes in all of our markets in-house, which is a beautiful thing. And it's really turned into a much better experience for us as a company than also our clients. We have better relationships with our clients. Our clients are seeing better returns. Our clients are having a more passive experience. And it's because we do everything in-house. I've made the mistake too many times of passing off properties to a third-party company and trusting what they said, and trusting that they would deliver on what they promised, and it just didn't work out that way. I just don't feel like the customer service level was kept consistent from what my customers were experiencing on the front end, dealing with my investment coordinators to identify a property, dealing with my transaction coordinators to carry them through the closing process. It seemed like once they went to a third-party management company, just the customer service just fell off the end of a cliff. And so, as I'm saying, renovation quality, very important for your long-term strategy. You want to make sure that you're getting quality rehabs. You want to make sure that you're investing in homes that are going to be very desirable for tenants now and in the near future. You also want to make sure that the turnkey provider is doing very solid, durable renovation as well. You don't want to buy a house with a bad roof that's going to need to be replaced in a year or two. You don't want to buy a house with a very old furnace or very old air conditioning unit. Those things are very costly. You want to make sure that things like the foundation and driveways are in good working condition, because those are very, very costly expenses. And so it's very important that the turnkey provider not only provide you with a property that's very cosmetically, appealing, but it's also very, very important that they're handing off a durable property to you. So I definitely recommend that you request an inspection, and get into these properties, and hire a home inspector to get in and show you exactly what type of renovation this home has gone through, and give you a good understanding of what you are purchasing. And don't get me wrong, some of the things that will pop up on an inspection report are sort of frivolous. It's the inspector's job to find things wrong. And as long as the home is in safe working condition, it's visually appealing, you yourself could see, okay, I could see how a tenant would want to move in this house. But then also make sure that, if there's not new furnaces, new air conditioning units, new hot water tanks, new roofs, make sure that there's at least, that these things are only into 1/3 of their useful life. So you have 2/3 of their useful life left. And with roofs, average life on a roof, it's going to probably be about 25 years. So I wouldn't really buy anything that doesn't have, at least 12 to 15 years left on it. 15 is probably, better served at that point. Same thing goes for a furnace, and a hot water tank. You might get 12 to 15 years out of that. So I'm looking at for at least 50% of life left on a hot water tank. And depending on where the property is located on the air conditioning unit, you could get a AC unit to last a lot longer in a market like Detroit, because you're only dealing with 3 or 4 months of, summer. Whereas an air conditioning unit in Texas might not last as long, because it's going to be 100 degrees for, 4 months in a row. And so people are going to run those air conditioning units pretty hard. So if you're going to invest in a state in the South, or a market in the South, definitely be wary and be sure of the amount of life left on that unit, because those things can break down pretty frequently. But all right, let's take a break really quick. I'm going to come back with some more things to look for in a good turnkey provider. So looking forward to the second part of the show. Stick around.
Did you know there are 6 different ways real estate pays investors? Are you interested in getting started with real estate investing but just don't know how? Investing in real estate can be challenging, especially if you don't have the time, experience, or resources to do so. At American Real Estate Investments, they do all the hard work for you. They're a DFW-based company that buys homes in great neighborhoods, professionally renovates them, and places business professional tenants in your property. With their program, you can start earning headache-free passive income and equity growth from appreciating values in the fast-growing DFW market. There is no better place in America to invest in real estate today. To learn more about how their investors are earning up to 100% returns or greater with their program, give them a call at 888-323-AREI or visit their website at areiusa.com. That's 888-323-AREI or areiusa.com.
And this is John Larson back with the Real Estate Cowboys, talking about what to look for in a good turnkey provider. So we talked a little bit about the market itself. We talked about the macro level, looking at a market, the micro level, looking at a market. We talked about price points and being wary of buying properties well below the median value in any market. And we talked about renovation quality as well, making sure you're buying a property that's visually appealing, so you'll be able to easily rent the property out to a tenant and hopefully keep them long term. But then also make sure that you're getting a very durable investment property as well, something that's going to have very low capital expenditures early on in ownership. And capital expenditures are basically going to be things that you're going to have to replace: roofs, furnaces, air conditioning units, hot water tanks, things that break down over time. You also know, obviously, that after a few years, 3 to 5 years, you're going to have to probably replace things like carpet or maybe flooring. Cabinets will eventually get dated. You may look to be updating that stuff. But you want to make sure that that kind of stuff is updated early on in ownership, right when you purchase the property, so you know you're not going to have to really revamp this property, at least for the first 5 years. That's what we're looking for. So no major expenses, no major repairs within the first 5 years, and then also not a situation where your kitchen or bathroom becomes super outdated in the next 5 years and you have a tough time renting out the property for market value for the neighborhood. And it's always my goal, really. I deliver, I believe, a very good product that's fully renovated, fully cosmetically overhauled, to make sure that I'm even able to charge slightly above market rent in the neighborhoods that I'm at, because the house looks so good, it looks so clean, it's so updated, that the tenant really doesn't have an issue paying a little bit above market value to get into that property. And so going from renovation quality, I want to talk about warranties. So I believe if you're looking for a good turnkey provider, they should offer some sort of warranty on either a rental warranty, or both actually, a rental warranty or a or a maintenance warranty. And I think any good turnkey provider who's producing good properties should have no issue warrantying those properties for a certain amount of time. Talking with the guys at Real Wealth Network and the other providers, there were some that were doing year-long warranties, and we all kind of decided that that was too long. What we do at American Real Estate Investments, and what a lot of other companies have followed suit, we provide a 90-day warranty, and that 90-day warranty starts right when you close on the home. Now, let's say you buy a property from me and it doesn't have a tenant in there already. Well, the warranty still starts from the time that the property is purchased by you, the investor. But when we place a tenant, I still give you an additional 90 days after that tenant is placed. Because what I found being a real estate investor and producing thousands of properties, although a home may pass a third-party inspection or, looks visually appealing, like, oh, wow, what a great rehab, until you get a live person or a family living in this house and using the electricity, plugging in all their electronics, taking showers, taking baths, using the sink every day, until you actually have live people living in the house using everything every day, unforeseen things could arise that even an inspector might miss. So my company, what we like to do is we like to provide that 90-day warranty after the tenant is placed. So if anything unforeseen that an inspector wouldn't have been able to find on his initial inspection, if that stuff pops up, it usually will pop up in that first 90 days. We're going to go in and clean that up free of charge. And I do that because I understand that, investors out there, this is your money. You're really putting a lot of trust into a company like mine and other turnkey providers out there. So you want to make sure that you're getting a certain level of quality. I understand that completely. And you also want to make sure that, hey, if I'm going to go and trust these guys, and a lot of times these investors haven't even seen these houses in person, I always recommend that they do. But, a lot of people are busy. They just want to get their money working for them. They want to get their money working in a market that makes more sense than the market that they're currently living in. And so I get it. They're excited to move forward and get investing. But, that's how I'm able to set their mind at ease. Okay, we have this warranty in place. And then another warranty that we do, there's a lot of times where, in most cases, my investors purchase my homes when they're unrenovated. They're still going through the renovation process. Now, we lock those properties under contract with a purchase agreement and an earnest money deposit that sits at the title company in escrow. And they basically wait for the property to be completed, get the finished photos, get the past inspection report. And then, at that point, I've delivered a turnkey asset. So we have to close. We have to proceed to close. A lot of times the lender's waiting on us. And, I also have debt service on these properties, so I'm looking to get them off my books as soon as possible. So there may be an instance where I sell a property to an investor that is not occupied yet. It's unoccupied. But it's completed and it's on the market for a tenant. So what we do in that case is we give a 45-day grace period for my leasing team and property management to get this property leased. If for whatever reason, within 45 days, if I'm not able to attract a highly qualified tenant, then what we're going to do at American Real Estate is we're going to start paying your rent for you. And so I think that that's a really great incentive for an investor. I think that investors understand, okay, we can't wait till we get a tenant to close on the property. It's done. We have to move forward to closing. The lender's waiting. A lot of times there's a rate lock that could be expiring. So we have to move towards closing. We have to close on the property. But I think my investors feel comfortable because they know, okay, well, even if within 45 days I don't get a qualified tenant in this home, American Real Estate Investments is putting their money where their mouth is, and they'll start paying the rent for me until we get a qualified tenant in place. And so, I think when you're looking for other turnkey providers to work with across the country, if they don't have any sort of rent warranty, if they don't have any sort of maintenance warranty in place, I would be a little bit cautious about that. I get it. A lot of other turnkey providers have the mindset that, hey, look, there's a lot of value in what I do. And there really is. Finding good quality properties in good markets is a challenge itself. Renovating these homes professionally is a challenge itself. Managing the crews, making sure you're getting the most out of your crews, making sure that the crews aren't, getting one up on you or cutting corners or charging too much. That itself is a job. That we have to designate an employee to watch these contractors every day in and day out, to ensure that our investors are going to get a very quality property. And, so there's a lot that goes into it. And I think that, there's a lot of turnkey providers out there that just feel like, hey, the money that I'm making on these homes, it really stops there. I'm providing this client with a fully turnkey asset. It's ready for a tenant, but I'm not going to manage it. I'm not going to provide any warranties. I'm not going to provide, any sort of extra care to the client. I mean, that's fine. And there's some people that get through with just that kind of business model. But I believe to be fully turnkey, there should be some sort of warranties in place to make the client feel comfortable moving forward and understand that they're not going to get, they're not going to buy a bad asset or a lemon. I'm very cautious of that. I'm an investor myself, so I feel like if I'm going to work with a turnkey provider, somebody else in the country, I'm going to want these things. Or otherwise I'm going to feel very cautious or very nervous about moving forward with a company like that that's not willing to put their money where their mouth is. And so I feel like we have some really solid warranties in place to make our customers feel comfortable, make our customers want to come back and invest with us again. And so, yeah, I would definitely pay attention to any sort of warranties that are in place. And if a company's not offering warranties, I would be a little bit skeptical. That would make me really want to fly out and meet them and see the type of work that they're doing. I would not buy something from someone who's not willing to put a warranty on it without going and seeing it myself. That's for sure. Okay, from there is the in-house management solution, and I think that that's one of the most important things with this entire process. I believe that to work with a truly solid turnkey provider, they need to have in-house management. I really do. I know there's some companies out there that have gotten by with third-party management companies, and my company, myself, we actually did that for a long time. We didn't open our management company until 2016. And I'm so glad that we did, because our customer experience has improved greatly because of it. And I've seen more and more repeat business, more and more clients come back to us, invest with us again, because we're still able to stay in contact with them. If something goes wrong with one of their properties, since we're managing in-house, we're aware of it, and we can quickly come to the table and help them fix the issue. Because what I've learned in this industry as well, these properties grow tails. And if you don't clip that problem and clip that tail off quickly, it will just continue to grow and grow and grow to where you get to a point where it's just, you're sinking so much money into this investment. You're sitting there thinking, why did I do this? And so management, like I said, it very, very much is a very important process and very important factor in the whole turnkey experience. So in-house management is definitely something that you want to look for in a good turnkey provider. From there, I think this kind of goes hand in hand is, what does the follow-up look like? How does the provider stay in contact with you? I think that's a very good question to ask any turnkey provider. What does your follow-up process look like? How often am I going to hear from you? Am I only going to hear from you if something's going wrong? If everything's going right? Am I just going to be collecting checks? I mean, me, if I'm going to be, and I still have investments outside of Texas where I live now, my property's in Detroit. I have my friends and family looking after them, so I feel pretty good about those homes, and really they only reach out to me if anything's going wrong. But I think a good turnkey provider needs to reach out with their customers at least every 90 days, even if things are running right, just to kind of do a portfolio overview. And so we do that here at American Real Estate Investments. Your property manager is always available to reach out to. You also have an online portal where you can track your statements and things like that. And I think any good turnkey provider should also have some sort of online system that you can log into and track statements and print off year-end statements for your CPA. And so any good property management company should have that as well, which we talked about that in our property management episode. But I believe that that's a very, very important thing is customer follow-up, customer contact, staying in touch with your clients. And like I said, even if things are running right, it's still good to hear from the team that you've trusted your money with, that, okay, they're going to follow up with me and just kind of let me know, hey, things look like they're running pretty good on our end. And it's just that continuing to build that rapport with our clients. And that's what I believe keeps our clients coming back and wanting to invest again. And so definitely find out what their follow-up procedure is. Once a month is good. I think there are some companies out there, some of our competitors that follow up once a month. And I think that that's great if that's what the client's looking for, a monthly phone call or a monthly email. But yes, I believe that, what we do on my own personal philosophy, we follow up every 90 days. And that would be your investment coordinator that would follow up with you, who's on the American real estate investment side, that's just trying to track your progress and trying to track, what your experience has been like. And that's how we're always changing our company and making it better, just going back to our clients and getting feedback from them on things that they like, things that they don't like, so we can continue to mold the company into a really, really solid turnkey solution for our investors. Another thing that I would kind of pay attention to is ratings. I definitely think it's good to Google the provider, do a little research, see, are they on the Better Business Bureau? Look for comments, look for reviews online, maybe look at Bigger Pockets and see if there's anybody that's had an experience working with some of these companies. Now, I know that, Bigger Pockets and blog forums can kind of be like Yelp, and, not everybody's going to have a great experience, right? And usually you only have people that talk about their bad experience and not their good experience online. So I'll take some of the stuff with a grain of salt, but if you're seeing a lot of bad reviews and the reviews are consistent, then that should be a red flag. If they're not on the Better Business Bureau, that should be a red flag. Any reputable company should be on the Better Business Bureau and should have a good rating. And so when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about how to locate a good turnkey provider and what to look for in a good turnkey provider. In the meantime, if you're listening to the show, you want to go to realestateCowboysDFW.com. We have a lot of great things on the website that you can go to. We have my passive income guide that's coming out here shortly. You'll be able to download that from realestateCowboysDFW.com. We also have our investor quiz, which is just a quick, fun 10-question quiz that will tell you what type of investor you are, what type of passive income investor you are. So there's a lot of different passive income options out there, and there's 3 that I focus on primarily, and that's single-family rentals, private money lending, trustee private money lending, and also vacation rentals. And we focus mainly on Belize. So you can take that quiz and find out exactly what type of investor you are. So that's a cool thing to do. You can also download the Passive Income Starter Kit, which is basically information on the 3 options that I just talked to you about. And that will also get you on our list to receive weekly updates on passive income real estate opportunities that we have available. So you investors out there who are ready to take action, I definitely recommend you get on the website and fill in your information and get on the weekly update for passive income opportunities that we have. And you can do that right at realestateCowboysDFW.com.
Looking to complete a 1031 tax-deferred exchange and are needing financing for your replacement properties? Let Graham Parham at Highlands Residential Mortgage guide you through the process and make your 1031 exchange go smoothly and on time. As a seasoned investor, Graham owns several investment properties himself, and he can share with you the best way to plan your exchange. Graduate into a better property or properties and make use of leverage to obtain better cash flow and higher returns on investment. Highlands Residential Mortgage has one of the best in-house loan processes to deliver your loan on time and without any surprises. We are 1031 exchange friendly. Call Graham's toll-free direct number today at 855-326-6802 for your free mortgage consultation, or visit us online at texasinvestorloans.com. Highlands is an equal opportunity lender, NMLS 195724, located 1201 North Central Expressway, Dallas, Texas 75234. Highlands Residential Mortgage, NMLS 134871, is not a financial advisor.
And this is John Larson, back with the Real Estate Cowboys radio show. We're talking about what to look for in a good turnkey provider. And so we mentioned quite a few things. And this whole topic came about because I was in Detroit with the Real Wealth Network team, Kathy Fecky and her team. And we had all the providers nationwide in a room together. It was a mastermind event that we did. And so I got to hear a lot about how other companies run their business, what type of warranties they offer, what type of warranties they don't offer. Do they have in-house property management? This group doesn't. This group does. This group doesn't want to do management because of this. This group believes that in-house property management is very key to the turnkey experience. And I myself I'm on the side of, I do believe you need to have the in-house management solution to ensure that the client's going to have a very good experience. My own experience with third-party management groups, it's been a lot more bad than good. And so that was what prompted me to start my own in-house management solution back in 2016. And things have just been getting better and better at my company, and my customers are having a better and better experience and coming back for more. So I believe that that's very important. We talked about the, how to look at a location from a macro level and a micro level, a location or market. We talked about the price points, not deviating too far below the median value in any market. So, for example, DFW median value currently is $280,000. Median value in Kansas City is about $180,000. I myself, because of that, would not buy really below $200,000 in the Dallas market, because now I'm getting into a different class of property that I might not feel comfortable with, because more risk is going to be involved in it. Maybe it's not as good of a neighborhood, not as good as schools, maybe higher crime. And on the flip side, in Kansas City, if I was to buy a sub $200,000 price home in Kansas City, I'd be getting a very good property, right? Because the median value there is $180,000. But if I delved below $100K maybe in Kansas City, I might run that higher risk again, where just the risk, in my opinion, outweighs the reward. And so we talked about that. We also talked about renovation quality, what to look for, what are the turnkey provider standards, making sure that the properties are very cosmetically appealing to tenants, but then also very durable for the investor, to lower capital expenditures, have very low capital expenditures early on in ownership. I believe that should be the goal. We talked about warranties and what type of warranties these turnkey providers are able to offer you. We talked about, once again, the in-house management solution. We talked about follow-up. I think it's a very important question to ask. What is the follow-up process? How will I be in touch with you after I close on this property? I hope that you're not going to be a company that just sells me a home and then I never hear from you again. And we talked about ratings and reviews, and definitely doing your due diligence. And so the last part to that, I would say, is, ask the turnkey provider, are you willing to provide references? And, when clients ask me that, I kind of, I feel kind of bad, like having, giving out my clients' information. I definitely call my clients first and say, hey, if I put you on my list of references, will you mind? And some of them don't mind, and that's okay. But you got to keep in mind, I get a lot of leads that come into my website each month, up to 300 leads a month I get that are looking for passive income real estate investment options. And, you don't want a bunch of people, calling these references. So, I make sure anytime I give out a list of references that this investor is serious and they're pre-qualified and they're actually a real buyer, because the last thing I want to do is keep, having my people calling my clients and bugging them. But I am willing to give a list of references, and I have a list. And like I said, I've checked with these investors and made sure that they were okay with me providing that list or their information to a potential investor. But, if a turnkey provider is not willing to give references out, I think that's another red flag. I think, if you have a good, solid group of clients that you've reached out to and just set the expectation, maybe what I do is I buy them a gift card every year for Christmas, just to kind of show my appreciation for being on my reference list. But, I think if you're a good turnkey provider and you have happy clients, you should have no issue giving out any references. And so I think that's very important. And I wouldn't caution any potential investor, as long as you're serious. If you're just a shopper and, you're not really certain that you want to work with a certain provider yet, or you're not really certain that you want to invest in a certain market yet, maybe not try and bug these people. But if you're really serious about working with this company and you've identified that this is the company I want to work with, and this is the market I want to be in, and really all I need to do is just speak with somebody and get some reassurance that everything John and his team, or everything Joe and his team in Jacksonville, or whoever it is, everything that they're saying is actually true, then I don't think it's wrong for you to ask for a reference. And like I said, maybe that's just the last piece of the puzzle to get you to move forward with purchasing your first property or two with this turnkey provider. So I definitely recommend asking for references for sure. Don't feel ashamed or embarrassed or feel like you're a nuisance asking for that. But like I said, I would wait to the very end to make sure that, okay, this is the company I want to work with. This is the market I want to be in. I trust these guys to an extent. I just need that last reassurance from a reference to make sure that everything has come full circle and everything's good for me to move forward. So that's it. That's all we have on the show for this week. Topic, what to look for in a good turnkey provider. I hope you found the information highly useful. Like I said, I've been doing this for a long time, and I've met a lot of different people that run the quote-unquote turnkey operation. I've seen a lot of good ones, and I've seen a lot of subpar ones. So just make sure you take the information I gave to you today and apply it to your own vetting out process to make sure that you're working with the right company. And so just in closing, for any of you who are interested in learning more about passive income real estate investment options, maybe finding out more about the Texas market, Dallas and Houston specifically, those are the two markets in Texas that I really love, go to realestateCowboysDFW.com, put in your information. You can download our starter kit there. We'll also have my passive income guide. It's actually going through editing right now. It'll be available soon. You can actually download the passive income guide, which is great. It gives information on all the different passive income options that we offer and all the passive income real estate investment options that are available to you. We also have the investor quiz on there, a very fun 10 question quiz that'll tell you, hey, am I a single family rental investor? Am I a private lending investor? Am I maybe a vacation investment investor? Maybe I'm all three. Maybe I'm two or three. Find out. Take that quiz. So it's a really fun quiz to take. So I hope you all can go to realestateCowboysDFW.com, and then everybody who opts in is going to be on our weekly newsletter that gives updates on the passive income opportunities that we have available to you. So Real Estate Cowboys, thanks again for tuning in. This is John Larson signing off.
All opinions expressed by the hosts of the show are the opinions of American Real Estate Investments, LLC, and do not reflect the opinions of guests or sponsors. No personal or professional advice heard on this program should be considered an endorsement to follow a real estate financing or investment strategy. Before acting on any information, seek advice from your financial, tax, mortgage, or real estate advisor, as the information is not guaranteed and investment strategies have the potential for profit or loss.